What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. This is Real Life. Um, I'm your host, Tim, and I've been a quadriplegic for 17 years now or so. I was injured in 2003, and today I'm going to bring up a quad friend of mine, James Purdue. He is another fellow quad also, and just chit chat about our life experiences as quadriplegics and maybe share some tips and tricks with everyone. Hey, looks like we got a guest here in the basement. Let me pull him up. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to type in the chat. Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's happening, man?
Not too much. Can you hear me okay?
10-4, good buddy.
Sounds good.
Look
So
at the
chat,
shirt I'm wearing.
That's awesome. Represent. Sweet. Appreciate that, man. So how's it going today?
Getting a new water heater put in. Other than that, we're doing great.
Nice. So chat, this is my friend James. He is a fellow quad as well. That's correct, right? Quad?
Quad is correct.
All right, quadriplegic. You're welcome to
C5-6.
C5 and 6. Okay. You're welcome to give a little bit of background about yourself if you want, man. And
all right. Hey, thank you for having me on here.
definitely, man.
I was like, I was one of them teenagers that grew up that thought I was invincible, that nothing was going to go wrong with me, nothing's going to happen to me. So I was always playing stuff, playing life on the edge of the game. And so it was like for 2 weeks, something was telling me you need to slow down in life and, enjoy it more. And I just ignored those signs for 2 weeks. But what had happened is I was playing a sandlot football game. I was 2 weeks into college. I was on a baseball scholarship, and I was one of them hoping to go professional. That way I can, get my mom a new house. And, you heard of mail order brides. I was going to get my mom a mail order husband. And so, so I want to take care of my mom and stuff, and my brothers. Got to play one college game. I was the only freshman that started. The next day, people were playing pickup game football at college. No pads, no helmet. And we'd been out there probably 2 hours. My team got the ball back, and I told them, hey, I need to get my stuff ready for class tomorrow, and left out of the huddle. And then I got about 10 feet away, and I heard someone say, we need someone to run the ball. And so I said, all right. I stopped, turned around, and I said, all right, I'll come back for one more play. And that one play has put me where I'm at today. So I got to the huddle. They handed the ball off to me. I busted through the line, broke a couple of tackles, scored a touchdown. And as I was turning towards everyone, I saw something in my peripheral vision. I have no idea what it was, just saw something. And, of course, I remember I scored a touchdown, so now the play is dead. Put the ball down. Saw something in my peripheral vision. I felt contact up high on my right shoulder, and then I heard a loud pop. Both those went to the ground, and only one of us returned to our feet. And I'm going to give you a little hint, Tim. It wasn't me.
Right. Yep. Wow, that's crazy, man. So when you were laying there, did you think in your head, this is going to be bad, or did you kind of know that things were,
At the very beginning, I thought my collarbone had gotten broken. Is what I thought the loud pop was on my right side. And so, and I was left-handed, so I wasn't interfering, So the guy, he's hollering, he tackled me. And I said, yeah, and when I get up, I'm going to, and I said a few words to him. And I figured me being invincible, that I could fight him one-handed, left-handed, since I decided I didn't get hurt. And so I lift my head to get up. Nothing followed. My arms at that time didn't come up. Shoulder didn't come up. Definitely feet and toes and legs didn't come up either. And then I laid there thinking about some stuff, took a deep breath, tried a second time, and didn't get up. Oh, no, what happened, the second time what had happened is I heard someone say, hey, does a touchdown still count? And I said, man, I'm really going to get up now. And does a touchdown still count? So I tried the second time to get up, and still nothing followed. And then I thought, the old thing to say three's a charm. So I tried the third time, and then I knew I was paralyzed. And the reason I knew paralyzed instantly, of course, when you know as well as I do, you're paralyzed instantly. But when people say, how do you know? I mean, there's
Right.
no other way. But I remember when I was 14 years old, my grandfather was in a nursing home, and I went to go visit him one time. And about 2 rooms before I got to my grandfather, this gentleman in his 30s hollered, hey, buddy, come here. And I go in there, and the guy's name was JT, and he was paralyzed from his neck down. And he asked me to hold his water to get him a drink. And his name was JT. So after the third time getting up, all of a sudden I started thinking of JT. And at the age of 19, I was going to be in a nursing home.
Wow. What year was that? What year was your accident?
19. My grandfather would go 1983. So 1983.
Oh, wow. That was about a year before I was born, actually. Not that.
Yeah, you're just a baby, man. You're a child.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it some days. So you were paralyzed. Did you then what happened after that? Did you go to, like, after you got out of like the rehab and all that, you ended up going to?
Yeah, I spent 3 months in 3 months in the hospital in Nashville, outside of Nashville, Tennessee, St. Thomas Hospital. 3 months there. The same day I got released, they sent me to Birmingham, Alabama, to UAB. It was called Spain Rehabilitation Center. And so I was sent there, and I was only there for 30 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was only there for 30 days. That's all the voc rehab and everything would pay for at that time, was a 30-day. And
Right.
Being a freshly quad, you didn't get much out of 30 days.
Yeah, definitely not. I want to say I was probably, that's about all I was in rehab too. I did a little bit of outpatient afterward, but after riding the bus back and forth for 2 hours there, 2 hours back for an hour of therapy, I was like, the stuff that I'm doing there, I can do it at home. So I ended up just starting to do it at home and all that. But and then
as well as I do, some of this, they don't tell you, or they don't teach you everything that you could know or learn. A lot of this is trial and error, talking to other people that's been through it. I mean, back when I got hurt, there was no social media. So, and even then, if I want to talk to someone in Nashville where I live, and I only live 35, 40 minutes out of Nashville, but that was a long distance phone call. And so if I need to talk to a therapist or somebody else with spinal cord injury, then I'm running a bill up to $100 a month as well.
Yep.
Of course, nowadays, everything's basically free on the phone and cell phones and the spacious media, social media. So, but back then, it was mostly trial and error from everything.
Yeah, social media is definitely a game changer. When I was injured, YouTube wasn't really much of a thing yet. There was a few things on there, but nothing like the self-help and self-learning things that are now these days. I'm going to pop your link in the chat, your channel link in the chat. If anybody wants to grab up your channel, they're more than welcome to do that. So you go live like 3 times a week on your channel too, and kind of interviewing. Go.
I try to do an interview at least once a week, and then I'll post something, try to get 2 to 3 times a week on posting.
Awesome.
But really just do the live only once a week when I have someone. And actually what I'm doing is, I don't know, throw you a little idea that, you can start your own podcast now for free on Anchor. So what I do with my YouTube, I call it a YouTube podcast, or live podcast, and then I'll extract that audio out and then pop it over into the podcast.
Oh, wow. Nice. That'd be cool. Yeah, appreciate that. This just kind of, the one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to bring up some subscribers and just talk to them and like meet them and whatnot. And then I had a quad friend of mine. I was like, you know what, maybe I could bring a couple of quad people up and, you know, people with spinal cord injuries and, you know, anyways, and just, you know, chit chat with them and, you know, see what, share tips and tricks and life stories and all kinds of stuff. So yeah,
Every tragedy has a voice. It's up to us to display that story to help
you're
other
right.
people.
Yep.
Blake, I see Blake asking Nashville, Tennessee. Yes, correct.
Yep.
I'm outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Yes.
And if anybody in the chat has any questions for James, you're more than welcome to ask.
Please ask away.
Go ahead.
I said, please ask away.
Yeah. So you were a teacher, correct?
After going through rehabs and everything like that, and we, you know, you've done, I'm sure you did this. You know, we learned to do our own type of physical therapy at home too. And
Yeah.
so after that, I decided I was 2 weeks into college. Of course, never went back to that one place, and I decided if I'm going to have some type of life, I need to go back and get a degree to help me out. And don't get me wrong, in high school, I was not the prestige educator. I kept a C average just so I could stay eligible to play baseball. That's all I needed, and that's all I would get. And so, you know, giving, I'm sure you heard this too. They told me I would never walk again, possibly not move from my neck down. And I was even told, you know, then doctors, they advised my family to put me in a nursing home because it'd be too much of a problem, too much of a burden to provide care. And
Right.
so we were hard headed and didn't listen, did our own form of therapy. Then I finally went back to college, and it took me 8 years to get a 2-year degree because I'd go for a while, then I'd quit for a while, go for a while, quit for a while. And then finally decided, you know, if you're going to do this, you better get on and do it right. And so, yep. So finally got my degrees and everything and got a teaching degree. I taught for about 13, 14 years, taught and coached our girls basketball team and helped coach the high school team in baseball.
That's awesome. That's cool. Um, I was when I was in fifth grade, my fifth grade teacher, one of the best teachers that I've ever had, and I'll always remember him. Never thought I'd live a similar life, but he was like I guess a T injury, which I never really asked him. You know, being a fifth grader, but I always thought of him as being one of the strongest people I've ever remember in my, you know, my school career or whatever. He was actually trimming his apple trees when he was younger, in his younger years, and when he fell right on the ladder and then it broke his back and whatnot. And so yeah, he was a hell of a man.
I remember my brother's third grade teacher, an African American woman, and she had polio as a child, and so she had those long leg braces and uses these call them Canadian crutches. I don't know what to call them now. And of course, she would hop around, you know, with the crutches and swing her legs forward. But she was a teacher for 30 plus years. But again, she was born with polio. But then when I got in ninth grade, I remember meeting a teacher, and she had a leg amputation from cancer. And she would tell some wild stories, you know, about she'd get up one time for Christmas, and her roommate took her artificial or prosthetic leg and hung it on the Christmas tree. So
that's awesome. That's great. So do you drive yourself?
Yes, I used to. When we did our physical therapy, I'm an incomplete quad, and I had actually got where I could stand on my own, and with a walker, I could walk about 100 feet. And so I tell people that when the doctor said I'll never walk again, that I made a liar out of them for 10 minutes. They would just correct the 23 hours and 50 minutes. So I made a liar out of them for 10 minutes. And so I had a regular car. I always stand up, turn around, transfer, take the chair apart, put it in. But then but it's been about 12 years ago, I got bit by a brown recluse spider on the bottom of my right heel and didn't know it until there's a blister about the size of a tennis ball. Jeez. And all that fluid in there with that poison there, it finally burst open, and then the skin was all black where it was dead from that poison. So I had to get
Right.
all the dead tissue removed and let new tissue regrow. And the doctors told me don't stand on that foot because it'll break the new tissue. So if we're not standing for 6 months, then I lost the strength to stand. So now I have a van to drive.
Nice. So a burning question that I always wonder, because I haven't driven yet. I was actually going to start the process this year till all the
You need to,
COVID
man.
So when you have a muscle spasm while you're driving, do you have decent muscle spasms sometimes, or kind of strong ones here and there?
Oh yeah, you just let go of everything.
Let Jesus take the wheel.
Yeah. Well, depending on where you're at, you don't. I mean, if you're right. If you're at a stop sign or a stoplight in the car in front of you, then you just try to
let it pass.
Hold things the best you can. But if you're on the interstate, just take everything off, let the spasm go away, because the road the car, they'll stay pretty much straight unless you're on a curve at that time. But just let go, because it'll take 2 or 3 seconds and then recover it. They don't hang on there long.
Right. You work the best you can with it. I always wondered that.
Yeah. You need to practice, because once before I got my first hand controls, before they put them in, I had to get into this guy's van that he was installing them, and they had you practice first to make sure you can do it. And so we actually went to my local college, and he met me out there, and he had me drive around and everything. And so,
spider bites are the worst.
Yes.
Damn.
Yes. So, but yeah. You need to try it there, Tim. Just say, if nothing else, try it. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, at least you know.
Yeah. Definitely. For the first couple years, I was like, man, I don't want to get in the car. Like I had like that PTSD from my accident and all that.
Yeah.
Anymore, it's just like, I want that freedom again. I want to get out and about, and so I think it's time.
I remember the first time when I first driving again, because before then, my mom would take me to class, my brother would come get me after class, and never do I ever remember their own time coming to get me.
Right.
I'm out of class at 11. It'd be 1:30. They finally come over to get me or something. And so I remember the very first time that my very first set of hand controls that were given to me, I was taking a class at Vol State. Well, Vol State was the local college. And I was talking to this woman. She told me she had been a foster parent with over 50 disabled kids throughout her life. And so we were talking everything, and I told her, I would like to start driving again. And I said, but said those hand controls they were $500. I don't know what they are today. And I said, but I don't have $500 to get them. She comes to class like a week later and hands me $500 cash and told me to get those hand controls and start driving. And so that's how I got my first set.
That's so cool.
There's a bunch of people that are still great people and blessing people out there.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Can I ask how you found my channel, or did I find yours first? Maybe I don't remember.
I don't know who was first, but
we did anyways.
Yeah, it's been over a year now, about a year. But I don't remember who found who first, but it was right here on the YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know if it was suggested or someone popped in. But one of us popped in, but I don't remember who was first.
Cool. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I kind of ask everybody that, but so not yesterday, but the day before, I got a brand new Roho cushion. Can I ask what cushion you ride on?
I'm blessed that I have sensation all over my body. I can feel hot and cold. I can feel when my butt goes to sleep or it's hurting. So I know to shift. So I'm on like a 1/2 inch foam, and I'm a big man. So if I get more than a 1/2 inch, I sink in there, and it's too hard for me to get in and scoot back and get adjusted right. And it's amazing how you tell your therapist when you're getting a new cushion or getting a new wheelchair, how you want things done. And then they think they know more than what we have, 30 years experience. And I say, well,
Right.
I can't have a 2-inch cushion. I can't have a 1-inch. Got to be. And they'll still order me that 1.5-inch or 2-inch cushion. And it's sitting brand new in my closet. I need to find somewhere to give it to somebody since I can't use them. I got 3 or 4 of them in there.
Nice.
But I have to use a 1/2-inch because I sink too much. Then I can't get back where I need to.
Right.
Too much of a fight.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, actually. Yeah. So have you had like helpers over the years come in and help you out, or are you pretty independent for the most part?
Up until the spider bite, I was totally independent. I could get in and out of the shower by myself, in and out of the toilet by myself. I just couldn't mow my own yard. But since the spider bite, since I can't do it to stand up and everything, then I need help getting into bed, but I can get out of bed by myself. I guess because the mattress, sinks, and it's hard for me to get in. But once I'm coming to my wheelchair, I can get out by myself. So my brother comes and helps me into bed at night, and then and help me in and out of the shower when I go. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's nice to have family to help out. It really is.
Yes.
They're definitely a blessing. Kiara, yes, he does have a channel. If you type in Professor Perseverance, it should pop up. I just tried to share it again, and it just says YouTube rejected my comment for some reason, which is I've never seen that happen. It's kind of weird, but yeah, just type in his Professor Perseverance, you'll find it. Kiara, it may let you do it. Being that you're a mod, you can try it if you want. If you don't mind sharing it in the chat. I know I typed it up higher, but maybe because I typed the same comment, it might not let me. But do you travel much?
I was gonna say I met Kiara on one of your shows the other day. I went back and looked at a few of them, and because I hadn't seen you in probably 2 months now, and I thought, well, let me see what Tim's doing, and I went and saw you were doing a lot more lives, and I saw you had people on meeting your subscribers, and so I met Kiara the other day. She just doesn't know it. Well, I guess she does now.
Hey, cool. That's how you doing? Trying to get through my watch time and all that. So I've been trying to go live more, and that way people don't have to sit here and stare at my face all the time. I've been bringing people up and chatting with me. So I can see your link. You can reshare. Yeah, thank you, Kara. I appreciate that. Do you have any pets? Which I know the question or answer to the question, but
I have a cat and a dog. The cat is a Siamese, about 14 years old. He does whatever he pleases, and that's fine with me. I have a kitty cat door he goes in and out of, so I don't have to do as much with him. But then I have my dog, which is I try not to use dog since he's a $40,000 trained. Try to use the word canine for him. And actually, he's right here sleeping. I don't know if I can get him up high enough for everybody to see him or not. Let's see. He got a birthday coming in 2 weeks. He'll be 12 years old. Come here, Cardo. Come here, Cardo. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on, buddy. He says, I'm 12. I'm getting old. Come here, buddy. Come here, Cardo. Up. Let's see if they can see you. Up. Up. All right, come on. A little bit. There you are. There's that. Right up here.
There you
are. Oh, there you are. Hey. Say hello. Say hello. Say hello. There you go. Good boy.
That's awesome. Very cool.
But I got him from Canine Companions for Independence. I met him up in Orlando, is where I got Ricardo.
Wow.
Their headquarters in California, and so actually they breed their own canines there, and then they send them out through the country to. I think they have five organizations or 5 sub places from their headquarters. And the
Uh-huh.
close one to me was in Orlando. And the great thing about them is if you qualify, they have like a 5-tier thing you got to do to fill out every time to get accepted. But once you get accepted, then their canines are trained and you get them for free.
Oh, wow.
Whereas other places, you got to pay $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 for that dog to do. But this organization, they do them for free. They raise money all year round to pay for them so they can give them out.
Nice.
Gordo.
Have you traveled anywhere recently, or do you travel much?
Not recently, I guess, with this COVID stuff.
Well, yeah, true.
But yeah, I mean, I like to get out. I try to go out in motivational speaking. I'm trying to do more of that on my YouTube channel now, speaking, also with my podcast, and so I don't have to go out and travel as much. But yeah, I've been, even in Orlando when I went and got him, I spoke at their place.
That's awesome.
North Carolina, Arkansas. I've actually been over in Africa and spoke. I was actually considered their ambassador at that time when we went, ambassador for people with disabilities. And had
what part of Africa?
Well, actually, the part we went to was if you go to the east coast of Africa,
okay,
you'll see on the east coast of Africa, and then you'll see Madagascar. And then in between Madagascar and the east coast of Africa, there's 4 little islands. And we were on 2 of those 4 islands.
Oh, wow.
It's called the Grand Comora or the Comora Islands. The main one is the Grand Comora. And then the other one's called Antoine, I think. So we were over there, and I had 12 wheelchairs delivered to people over there so they can get out in the community. And so, but that was back in 2001.
That's so cool, man.
Long time ago.
Yeah. I've been pondering the thought of getting into I don't know what you call it, motivational speaking, or if it would be more either like support or to where I go around to schools and talk about safe driving and talk about spinal cord injury and stuff like that, and the consequences of whatnot. But I don't know what you call it. But
it's neither one of the two. People would say it's neither. Motivational speaking is supposed to be, my understanding, motivational speaking is supposed to be more for giving information on how to build a business or whatnot. Where they say what I'm doing is called inspirational speaking.
I guess
inspiration, but I use them still both the same way, motivation and inspiration. Now, Tim, you start going to them schools, ask them what kind of budget, make sure they pay you something, man.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they'll pay you. Them schools will pay you. They have a budget set to do that.
Awesome.
It may only be $200 or $250, but that $250 will help.
Hell yeah, for sure.
So
you are really amazing. Thank you, Kiara. I appreciate that. Kiara's awesome.
Oh yeah, Kiara. I met her the other day. She just doesn't know it yet.
Thank you, Cool Quest.
You got a better following than I do. Not that I don't have a bad following, just your people are hopping in. Of course, you do it regularly, like this.
Yeah, I try to go live
regularly. Yeah. So
yeah, they're pretty cool. Of course, everybody, you get the trolls that come in here and try to wreck shop, but kind of ignore, you do the best you can with it. You got to set up some good mods, and they can get rid of it as soon as it pops up. So
yeah, one time I was on, and I forgot who I was interviewing or whatnot, and one guy hopped in and he was talking about he was blessed that he has socks or something like that, because we were talking about, I forgot what we were talking about, and then you can tell 2 or 3 other things he was trying to make some trouble there, and so when he brought in about the socks, all of a sudden it said, Helen Keller once said, who was deaf and blind, once said that I once met a man that had no shoes, and I cried because I had no shoes until I met a man that had no feet. And then after I said that about the socks, then the guy didn't say much of anything after that.
You shut them down good. That's awesome. I don't get bias or pen security. Yeah, right. Hey, what's up, Nathan, buddy? How you doing?
I tell you a
If
funny
anybody
story. I saw the 911, 9/11 thing. Here's a funny story is um, when we went to Africa and the Comoro Islands and stuff, we came through and had a 18-hour layover in Yemen is where what's his name was originated from. Can't think of his name right now. And
like a Bin Laden or whatever?
Bin Laden, yes, it was
Okay, well,
originated. And my roommate works with the FBI here, but he told us when we leave country, don't tell anyone he's FBI. And so we didn't. And when he would get to wherever we had a layover, he'd call the embassy. He had all them numbers memorized to let them know that there was 30 Americans there. Well, he called when we were in Yemen. He called and said, and then this is right before the 4th of July. And he called and let them know that we were in Yemen, the 30 Americans. They said, hey, don't do anything to attract attention. Relax. You're cool. So 18 hours, we're getting ready to leave to go get on our next airplane. He calls, let them know we're hitting the road. And he goes like this. He says, hey, we're not worried for you, anything like that. Said, but Osama bin Laden and his people have found out y'all are there. And said, we're not worried because they didn't have time to plan anything,
right.
So we're not worried, just going and still don't do anything else, just going to get on your plane. Well, then that was July 4th there time frame.
Right.
And then, months later was the 9/11. So my brother and some others, they think because they had their mind set on 9/11, we would have brought too much of attention to do anything with us. And
right.
so I understand that too. Yeah, that if he would have done anything, it would have messed up or potentially messed up. It may not have, but yeah. So that was wild when we found that out.
If anybody has any questions in the chat, you're more than welcome to ask. Just throwing it out there.
Now, Tim, you mentioned muscle spasm. Do you take medicine for it?
I do. I do, which I don't know. I'm not really. I don't like to admit this or whatever, but I do a low dose methadone, and my doctor started on it years ago, and I take gabapentin, low dose of that as well, and then at night I use the medical cannabis before bed and everything, which helps phenomenally. But during the day, because I don't really use the cannabis during the day, I do like that low dose methadone that and the gabapentin on the side as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. How about yourself? Do you take medications for your spasms?
No, I was taking when I first got hurt, and then I kept having spasms. Even when you're taking them, you still have them. And so I kept having them, and then finally I said, well, why am I taking this medicine? And I wasn't taking, of course, I don't know if they had all this stuff you're taking back then or not. It was just called Lorasolve for muscle relaxer, and Valium is what they had. And so I finally just quit cold turkey and didn't talk to my doctor about it. And I didn't sleep for like 3 or 4 days, and then slept for 18 hours. And then I've been off of it ever since, because I was going, why am I taking them if I'm still having spasms? And so, and fortunately, mine are not that bad, but I do have them. You can really tell when I have spasms when I get a UTI.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. I was going through that a couple weeks ago, which I want to take like a retest of my urine now that I've been off antibiotics. But with my spasms, it's more like a roller coaster. Like when I'm medicated, they're like low, but when my medications are wearing off, they really ramp up here and there. But like it's 10 times worse when you have like a UTI or pain below your injury. You get like that autonomic dysreflexia headache and all that good stuff that comes along with it.
Yeah, I remember first time having that autonomic stuff, man. The first time, of course, again, here we have no idea what it is.
Right.
I remember the first time, and I would feel like my body's freezing and I'm spasming, shaking, and I got like 8 blankets on me to keep the heat on and everything, cover me
Yeah.
up head to toe. And then when all that finally goes away, we'd uncover. Now I'm burning up outside. I got to cool down. And but then the first time we did it, I uncovered too fast and cooled down, I guess, too fast. It all started all back up again.
Yep.
I had to learn to take 2 or 3 blankets off at a time and cool down slow than what I did. Yeah. So yeah, that first time it happened, had no clue. Again, trial and experience and learning that they didn't tell you in rehabs anywhere.
Yeah. Yep. They told me to watch out for it, but I didn't. Being an 18-year-old kid, you're like, oh yeah, doc, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, I retained some of it and what I thought was important, whatever. But I was like, oh, autonomic dysreflexia, okay. But that first time it hit, I was like, wow, I should have been. But sometimes there's nothing you can do about it other than just ride it out and just try to figure out what the
And then I don't know
is,
about you, but when I go through a night of it, I'm drained for the rest of the whole day.
Yep.
It takes me a day basically to recover and be good for the following day once I go through it. So I've had it a time where I was going to college. I lived an hour away, and I was coming home having that start up, and here I am trying to drive, like I said, and then my back would hit a spasm, and then I'm jerking like this, and then I'm having to let go of the wheel and the gas and pedal, and everything, and brake. And it jerk again. I have to let go. So yeah, so I don't like having those types when I'm driving.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can get there's a couple of times where like I was trying to wean myself off of my meds and stuff like that, and I would get my spasm would like arch my butt up off my chair so hard. Yeah. I mean, yes, it's good for muscle tone, but they suck either way. You know what I mean? So it almost threw me over the edge of my chair, and I was like, "Oh, that's not a good thing."
Do you have problems with sleeping? All of a sudden, your leg a kick, and then all of a sudden, then it after about 10 minutes, it kicks again. You can't even get to sleep. I have to readjust and try to get my leg in a position where it's like my foot is in bed and it's stretching my ankle, Achilles. I put it in bed like that once it happens.
Yeah. Do you sleep with like pillows between your legs and all that stuff? And
no.
Like when I sleep on my either my left or my right side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not much of a back sleeper anymore. I guess I never really was, but I'll sleep with like a pillow between my legs. And sometimes if my toe has pressure on it, say if my leg is too compressed on my bottom foot and it squeezes my toes together and it pushes my toenail into my like nail bed or whatever, that will send me into like a jerky, like a tremor type spasm that'll wake me up. And then I kind of almost have to force myself into a spasm to try to readjust and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we learned to play the game. That's for sure.
Yep. Tips and tricks.
It's a sucky game, but we learned to play it.
Right. We're the best at it.
Hey, there's one time you mentioned toenail. It was early on, and it may have been my first year that I was injured. And I got this big pounding headache. I mean, it was pounding. And so we'd got the notebook that Birmingham gave us to try to figure out what it was. And we looked to see if my socks are too tight. Looked for it, took the socks off. Looked to see if maybe my bladder was too extended, if I needed catheterizing. Even did a bowel program to see if that was a problem. And pounding. And then finally, we got down. I mean, you were just going down the list or anything, and it said, check for ingrown toenail or something. So they go to my big toe on my left foot, and my mom and brother, pinched the toes from the side. All of a sudden, my leg come up and almost hit me in the chin. Yep. And then we realized I had a ingrown. And so here's my brother and mom taking a knife and getting this ingrown out. And so we did our own doctoring too. So I'm sure it's not safe to do all that stuff, So, but but once they relieved that pressure from that ingrown, it was like instantaneously the headache went away.
Yep, and it's like that too. You give it 30 seconds, 45 seconds, it'll just relieve itself right away that fast. It's crazy. There was one time I was on my shower commode with the hole in it, with my shower chair that has like the bucket underneath it, or you can put it over the toilet, whatnot. Well, I started to fall down in it, but I didn't realize it, and I was getting a pounding headache, and I used a Hoyer lift to get me up and out of it and into it. So I Hoyered up a little bit, and that headache went right away. But here was like pressure, like on my leg, and like it was just a weird position that I was in it. But I try to watch out for that now.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, any little thing like that, you got to go through your steps of, what could it be? Could it be a wrinkle in your pants or your toenail or just your bladder? And just stuff you got to learn over the years to watch out for.
I remember again visiting my grandfather when I was a kid, and I remember when we'd leave, my grandmother was a nurse, and my mom they'd visit him almost every day. She lived just across the street basically from my grandmother, and I remember every time we would leave, they'd always roll my grandfather one side and roll him the other side, but they were getting the wrinkles from the sheets.
Yep.
And this was as a kid, I'm going, what wrinkles? How is that? And one day I had a big wrinkle underneath mine, and now I realize why they removed it.
Yep. Something as simple as a wrinkle can make you can throw your body into like this reflects your uncomfortableness that affects you enough that like even like say I have like real sensitive kind of like where my shoulder bones are, like kind of like where your rotator cuff would be, kind of that shoulder bone that sticks there. Say if I have like a wrinkle under that, even in my t-shirt, my soft t-shirt, I have to always pull it out and make sure it's wrinkle free right there too. Now you said you can feel hot and cold.
Talking about this t-shirt?
Yep, that t-shirt. Yep. Thank you, man. I love that. That's so awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that so much.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
I like that blue too. How's the comfortability of them? Are
It's
they pretty
good.
comfortable?
Yeah, I think it's good material. I think it's pretty nice material.
Awesome.
So yeah, I like it. So.
Yeah, I've been trying to wear mine out to where the thickness of it's a little less. I guess it's nice in the warmer times, but I was trying to get it to where it's like super, super thin to where it's like nice and comfy in the summertime. But I got a little ways to go with that.
Yeah, I don't think this one's going to be, I mean, it'd be good. It'd be good for summertime, but I mean, it wouldn't be good for a breezy wind.
Right.
So I think it's good material. Whoever's doing it for you, I think they've done a pretty good job with it.
Good. I'm glad. I also have
now we're done with the commercial, so we can.
Hey, right, yeah. Brought to you by Charmin Ultra Strong Toilet Paper.
I don't know if you saw this, to interview the Captain Plum, Charlie Plum. He was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for nearly 6 years. His plane got shot down, and he was prisoner of war, and they were talking about starving him, beating him, everything. And I was surprised when I was interviewing him, the humor he had, because I would think if I was a prisoner of war and get beat every day and starved, I would think I would be so mad at the world. But
right.
He right when I was going to interview him a day or two earlier, he says, "Hey James, with all this COVID stuff going on," he said, "we can work our topic around at the very beginning, because people are hoarding and grabbing all these toilet papers, And then he said, we can talk about the motivation and adversity of going nearly 6 years without Charmin."
Wow,
I was surprised his humor was so great.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you for hanging out for a little bit. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to go back and watch that one. Hey, Austin, what's up, buddy? If anybody has any questions, you're more than don't feel shy to ask. I ain't scared. James ain't scared.
Ask me. Yeah, it's only going to help somebody in the long run.
Right. So where do you get your motivation, your inspiration? Like, what keeps your drive going? Like, you know what I mean?
I think we're all that is put into our system to learn, and depending on how you're upbrought and your environment is whether you flourish it or not. You know, you're in a negative household and the environment around is all negative, and you're a pessimist. Um, Not everybody. Fortunately, some people get out of it and do.
Right.
But I think watching my mom was basically a single mom. My dad, her divorced before my first birthday, so I never met my real dad. And he so she remarried when I was 6 or 7 years old, and then he died when I was 16. So my mom raised three kids basically by herself with that 10-year, with
Right.
my stepfather there. And so I guess watching her, and she told me one story one time where her it'd be her great grandmother, be her Glenn, be her great grandmother. Name was Della, I think it was, and she was like 85. Of course, you're talking late 1800s. She was like 85 pounds, had a dress, a bonnet on her head, dressed from shoulders all the way to the ankles, and covering up her to her hand, on her arms. And she's out there at 95 degrees weather to plow the garden. They didn't have a mule, so 85 years old, she was the mule pulling the plow with her kids, keeping the plow straight. And
Wow.
so, hearing stuff like that, you're going, it's pretty much in my DNA for that. And then I always felt like I think it's part of our job that we should help people as much as possible. We can't do everything. And if you try to do everything, you're going to burn yourself out where you can do nothing. And that
Right.
includes helping your own self. So, if you can't go out and speak, you're afraid of speaking, but maybe you give $10 to help someone, or don't have $10, maybe you can mow someone's yard, or you can't mow a yard, or maybe you can pay the $10 to get someone to mow for them. So I think we're here to help people. And sad thing is there's too many out there that won't hand out, give me all the time, but yet they're last in line to try to help other people, but they
Right.
think everything is deserving to them. So, but I think it's part of it is that we are all here to help each other.
I couldn't agree more with that. Do you use any special like adaptive tools or anything that help you? I mean, obviously we have like the internet and stuff like that, and do you use any like adaptive tools to?
I use my suppository inserter.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I've actually seen another quad did a video about that a while back. I didn't even know that was a thing until I saw that, honestly.
Yeah, you get this Velcro strap of this inserter, and because I couldn't hold it in my hand, and you definitely can't hold that suppository when it's melting; it's all slippery, and
Right.
and so a para can hold all that stuff and do everything with they don't need this, but they may get it anyway. But then you just take it and put that suppository into the top of the inserter, then reach around and find out where your belonging is, and let her rip.
That's
And
awesome.
but yeah, that one I do use a hospital bed now since um, the reason I use that, I hadn't got into this. I don't know how far y'all want to go, but I attempted suicide 3 times in 3 days.
Oh wow.
After I had the spider bite, I started, because people having to help me into the bed or help me into the shower or help me on the toilet. So I did feel like a burden to everybody. And so plus what had happened is the one night when I couldn't get into bed. What had happened is my younger brother, now he was an alcoholic, but he was one of them functional alcoholics. He'd get up and work all day, but then he'd come drink it, catch up on drinking at night. But he would get up every day.
Right.
Well, his health got bad. We got him to the hospital, and they looked at him, told him his liver was wasn't at point of no return of recurring and fixing itself. It wasn't at that point yet, but they told him if he kept drinking the way he was, they gave him 10% chance to live 5 years. And with him being an auto mechanic, they told him not to pick up anything heavy because he had an ulcer and a hernia. So, but one night I couldn't get into bed. He helped me into bed. That same night he died.
Wow.
And so I felt responsible for his death, plus of being a burden for people having to get me into bed, to help me dress at that time, to help me on the shower, to help me on the toilet, to help me. And I felt so after he died, I felt like he died because of me. If I could have got in bed, he would be alive. And the burden. So months later, I attempted suicide 3 times in 3 days. And finally, they found me sucking in carbon monoxide out of my van. And someone called 911 and got me to the hospital and put me in a hyperbaric chamber for hours to force that carbon monoxide out and the oxygen in. And so after that is when I got a hospital bed to make it easier for me to sit up. And so when I get into bed, I have to lower the bed lower than my wheelchair, and I use a sliding board to get in. So you use a sliding board to get in. But again, I need help getting in because the mattress, I sink in it, so I can't move around like I want to. But when I get out, I raise the bed up higher than my wheelchair, and I don't need a sliding board because I know how to get into my wheelchair. And again, the half-inch foam, I can get where I want to and move around. So
that's awesome.
So that was my biggest adaptive equipment. Long story for that adaptive equipment there.
Oh, no, that's right. I'm damn glad you're still here, buddy.
So
I really am.
Well, and that, of course, I kid around. I even wrote my book, had that chapter in there about the suicidalness, and I tried to kid around and make it not so, I don't know, not so nerve wracking or but I tell people, I'll go, when you live from being suicidal, attempt suicide, they make you see a psychologist. So I was trying to joke with people, they make you see that. He's the one that told me that since I live, that I have a story to tell. I need to get out and tell people, need to help other people. And that's how I got into the speaking, and then eventually into the YouTubing and starting a podcast.
Were you pretty nervous the first few times you went up and spoke in front of people?
Not as nervous as I would have thought. And that may have been, I'm a firm believer that things that we do in life prepare us for other things in life. Now, if I wasn't a school teacher, I may have been scared to death to be out there. But after you've talked to 30 students 5 times a day, 150 students, no, I really wasn't nervous getting out there when I first started.
That's cool. Plus you did the basketball. Yeah, that makes sense. Plus
the coaching in front of everybody and everything.
Right.
So, you can see my championship. We won a state one year, basketball back there.
Awesome.
So won the state one year. So, so I really wasn't nervous. I guess, and I believe we're prepared. I wouldn't say all the time, but most of the time we're prepared for whatever comes to us in life because we've already sensed it. For example, again, my family already knew how to take care of my grandfather. So then when I got hurt, we already knew what to do with me.
Right. That's true. That's a good point. Sorry, I had some questions written down, but I'm just trying to see what would, do you have any talents or hobbies?
My big talent, I don't know if I got a talent or not, but before I got in a wheelchair, of course, I wanted to be a baseball player. But the odds of that happening is, they say it's less than 1% to ever make it to the pros. So I figured my backup thing was going to be an auto mechanic. My stepfather, who I consider my real father, I remember when I was 10, 12 years old, he'd have me out in the backyard, show me how to take brakes off a car and put new brakes on. And when I was 16, I pulled my first motor out of a car, rebuilt it, tore it all apart. I mean, pistons out, the rings, cam, bearings, everything out of the distributor. and rebuilt a brand new motor and dropped it in. That was age of 16. So
Nice.
that is a talent, but I guess it is a talent because not a lot of people like that kind of work. But
Right.
I like to problem solve things like that. Now I don't know if I can do a car today with everything so new since I've hadn't worked one in 35 years. But it's nice to get out there and go, hey, I know what that is. I know what that problem is.
That's like my little brother, man. Like he can take apart any kind of engine, put it back together. That's like looking at Chinese to me. Like, I mean, yes, I could probably figure out like a small engine, but he's good at all kinds of stuff like that, man. Like he's always tinkering with like motors and things like that. And some people are just mechanically inclined, like, you know.
Here, and again, I use this with the problem solving as part of my gift that I can use to help other people. I can't work on your car, but I might be able to tell you what the problem is. But here's what I like when I tell people, you can help someone, it won't cost you a dime. Will you do that? Will you help them if it won't cost you anything? It barely costs you any of your time. So, like for example, one time, you know, people they're always cleaning the garage out and throwing things away at the front of the road, and anything the road is someone else's treasure, right? Someone's trash, someone else's treasure. So one time I go by and I see this dude put a lawnmower, just a push lawnmower out there. And so a friend was with me. I said, hey, man, get that lawnmower, put it in my trunk. And where we were, I was just half a mile from my brother's house. There was a mechanic. So he's getting it out to put it in my trunk. The guy in the garage hollers, it doesn't work. The guy, my friend goes, hey, James, you said it doesn't work. I said, well, all right, go ahead and put it in there. The guy hollers again, it won't run. My friend says, James, you said, I said, just put it in. I said, nothing else. We can take the motor off and we have a frame for another motor, you know, if nothing else. It's parts, you know, that we use. So he loads it up. We take it to my brother's house. We get over there and my brother pulls it 3 or 4 times and we see spark is still coming out of the spark plug and everything. I kid you not, sling blade at its finest. My brother undo the gas cap. It's no gas. He pours it in there, puts a little bit in the carburetor, pulled it, and it fired up.
That's awesome.
No, the guy's hollering, don't run. So we did our sling blade. Oh, need some gasoline.
That's awesome. I love that.
But then here's where my gift is. Then I took that because I knew a family that didn't have a lawnmower, and I knew they struggled paying someone to do it, to pay them to do someone to mow. So then took them, and they were able to use that lawnmower for 2 years before it finally broke down.
That's awesome. So that's cool.
Yeah, we found microwaves. You know, people would throw at the end of their yards, and that's still working. They just upgrade it.
Yep.
Then you find a family, give it to them.
That's
so
cool.
There's stuff like that you can help people out, and don't cost you a dime, just cost you a little bit of your time.
Yeah, it's amazing some of the things that people throw out and that, you know, somebody else can just, you know, use right up. Yep, same thing. I found a grill one time that we threw in my van, and it was in, you know, perfect condition. They just must have upgraded, and so we just threw it in my van, and my one helper actually kept it. So hey, it worked out.
That's right. Yeah, I don't have to keep what I find if I can find somebody else to use it. I got outside on my patio right now 2 bicycles, a kid's bike and an adult bike that someone at the end of the road said, free, take it. And so I got it so I can give to the next person that I can find needs them. So.
Do you have any questions for me, James, or anything that you want to know about me?
So you were mentioning, like, I'm going to go back to you driving because I really would like to see you succeed at this. Is there any other than your wreck? I know you were in that car wreck. Is there anything other than that you think is holding you back? I know it's the unknown right now too, because you've never done this with the hand controls. I was surprised when I got my van because I drove a Mustang which had regular just power steering and the brakes and everything. And I mean, apparently me driving those cars, regular power steering, my right arm got stronger than I thought, because when I got the van has what they call zero resistance. You can take your finger and turn the whole wheel. You don't, it's no muscles hard. And so one time a van was being looked at, so I got back in my Mustang and I thought the power steering pump had broke. I couldn't hardly turn it because I was so used to the van. Couldn't hardly turn it or anything. Then I realized how much stronger my arm was with the other one. So, but yeah, I was just letting you know that they get that zero resistance, so it's not hard to turn. You can again set the brakes where it's the hand controls where it's easier to use.
Medication time, boys. So with me, one of the obstacles that I'll have to deal with is I don't have a full extension on my elbows. That started before I even got out of like the regular, like I went from ICU to like a regular hospital room and then rehab. It already started before I left the regular hospital. They started like curling up because I couldn't keep them extended. Like they would tie them to the end of the bed and all that kind of stuff, and I would break the rubber bands, and it was horrible. Like they always wanted to curl up. Like even when I'm in bed now, like they just always end up curling from a contraction and whatnot. That's one obstacle, but OVR, occupational vocational rehab, will be the one to, I guess, decide if I do get it or not, because they fund all that stuff with the classes or the schooling for it, the hand controls and whatnot. So I guess they're the ones that kind of decide, if I do get it or whatnot, because I guess motivational speaking will be my job, to my reasoning for getting out, other than obviously grocery shopping and that kind of stuff. But I don't think they really consider that like necessity to need vehicle modifications. But I would probably try to use more so going
yeah,
travel.
when you fill out those paperworks, I would list anything and everything that your helper does with you. I could go shopping on my own now, because even then, you don't need your helper to go with you. You can go to the store and then you go to the customer service. Hey, I need someone to shop with me, and they'll give you someone to push the buggy, and you tell them what you need off the shelf. They'll load it up into your van,
Oh
and then
wow!
then you drive back home, and then you get mom and dad or brother, sister, neighbor to come get it out of your van for you. So
Right.
also definitely put going to your doctor's appointments. So you put anything that they're driving you to, and then add, my aspiration is to be a motivational speaker. And I know that it would be easier if I could travel by myself than someone else having to come with me.
True. Good point. I like that. Never even thought about that. That's awesome. I'll definitely have to do that when the time comes. Hopefully soon everything opens back up.
Yep. Now, if anything I help you with wording, let me know. Or other ideas to throw in there with you, let me know.
Awesome.
So, I mean, even mention about what do you like to do for your recreation? I've seen you before going to fireworks shows and
I do DJ and stuff like that. I like to go through
that. There you go. So there you can mention about going to DJs and driving, doing that. Mention that in there. But but also don't put it in everything in just as what I need to do to live. Put in there what you want to do for fun.
Right.
Whether it's DJing, going to the 4th of July fireworks shows, going to a Christmas parade by yourself, So you want to be able to, I'm frustrated. I want to get out of the house and I just want to drive around for 2 hours.
Pick up that hot date and take her to a movie.
There you go. Yeah. So that's it.
But yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks
Yeah,
for
add that stuff. Yeah, add all that in there for it. They're pretty good. The vocal is pretty good. There's sometimes you have to pull their teeth, but overall they're pretty good.
Cool.
So,
Do you have any other questions for me that you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to ask
me?
you here now that you're becoming a YouTube star, and then I can teach you how to extract your audio and make you into a podcast, and then you can start on Anchor for free if you want to, and I can show you how to do all this stuff. But also, when are you going to write your book?
Actually, I've been working on it. Not as of lately, but over the winter time, I was trying to pump out like a few paragraphs a night, a few pages a night, whatever. But it's still in the works. Just trying to figure out where I want to go or how I want to, um, like what direction I want. Obviously, I want it to be like, kind of an inspirational story and stuff like that, but I want to tell it how it is kind of thing. But I'm not good with like wording like, oh, the sun was shining blue or yellow rays that the morning I woke up. Like, I'm not good at like that kind of stuff. Not that I want to write it like that, but I want it to be like something people would want to read and follow. Not, you know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't worry because I'm like that as well. When I wrote mine, it was pretty much straightforward. This is how it happened, and wrote it, and then I've had other people that got my book, and then they told me, one person said I read it all in one day. I got started and couldn't stop, and again, I don't I'm not good at adding all that. I don't want to call it fluff, but
you're right though. That other stuff that.
Yeah, I'm not good. To me, I have to sit and think about all that. I mean, I could write something that good with all the pretty stuff, all the stuff in there, but it would take me 2 hours to get one page.
Right.
So I would advise first thing, just write it out, get it out of your head,
yep.
Get it on your paper, get it on your computer. Then when you go back and edit, if you want to try to make it sound better, you can do that as you're editing yourself the first time. So,
yeah.
I would just get it out there, and don't hold back. Don't be afraid to put. I was out in public, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm peeing all over myself and crap myself. It happens.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
And so it's more relatable for other people who's reading it. I'll tell you a funnier story. You'll find out once you get your book out now, Tim. You'll find out you'll never know who's read it. Everybody's read it, but you'll have some people come up to you never known, and they're going to thank you for putting it out there. And for example, I was at visiting our local Wally World store where Ricardo loves to go walking around.
I bet
couldn't have been in the store 23 seconds, and all of a sudden this guy comes up and says, "Mr. Purdue." Come up behind me. And first thing when I hear Mr. Purdue or Coach Purdue, I'm thinking a former student. So I turned around and I had no clue who this guy was. And he says, "You don't know me, but I'm going to let you know I've read your book 4 times. I go, "What? My book?" Like that. I'm actually surprised. I go, "What? My book? 4 times?" And then I said, "Yeah, you got to be kidding me." He said, "No, really. And your book, which you've said is going to help me in life." And I go, "Really?" And then I said, "If you don't mind, could you," and this is a good question to ask when you get people out there, how did you come, like you asked about how do we come to your channel? How did you come to get my book? Did you just stumble across it? Did a friend recommend it to you? Did someone give it to you for a birthday? Then I go like this, or did you find it laying in a trash can? That's what I tell them. And then after he said the next thing, how he come across the book, then I believe he probably did read it 4 times, because he said to me, "I was locked up in the county jail and your book is in the library." And I read it. So that's how I got your book.
Oh, wow.
After he said that, I thought to myself, he probably did read it 4 times then. So, and so
I guess, yeah, but then again, he came up, he actually thanked you, and that's freaking awesome that you probably actually helped him while he was in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so and then his wife or girlfriend came up about that time, and I wished I didn't have one at the time, but I wish I'd had a copy of my book and gave it to him, since he couldn't have took it out of the library. Since he couldn't take it out of the jail library, he got locked up again. So So I wish I'd had